Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sonic Talk episode 123. I am your host, Nuckles87, and with me today is a significantly smaller crowd than last time, but good news, GX is off the floor. Uh, GX
I
the
I
Echidna?
I I have a chair, and it's not a very good chair, but it's a functional chair. I will have to replace it soon.
I put a whoopee cushion on it, but he sat on it before the recording
The problem
started,
the
so no
problem
one got to
is
hear it.
before I sat on it, I just let rip a very loud one, and then it just made the actual whoopee cushion itself sound much more pathetic.
Ah. And also, there's also Shigs there, whom I do not prank because he is our elder.
You. Anyway, my arm's still messed up, but it's doing better.
Yeah, you'll get there eventually. You'll get there.
That's what it's like
I'm
being
sure.
old. You can injure yourself just by not sleeping right.
I already do that.
Same. Most nights I seem to cut off the circulation of my arms or decrease it for some reason. I don't know why.
In
Now I'm
any
on a sleep
case,
machine, and that's helping a lot.
so we've got a smaller than usual new setup because it's January, and also we're still experimenting with this bi-monthly thing. We're gonna start with a quick what we've been playing, and G-Hex has been playing Bakeru.
It's true. I have.
Now,
So
is that the platformer, or what is that?
okay, so even if you haven't heard of the game, I'm sure you are familiar with the developer and some of its inspiration. Bakeru is, I believe, the second latest game by Good Feel, who
Okay, so this is the 3D platformer.
yeah, it's a 3D platformer, and Good Feel historically was formed by a bunch of former Konami developers, so it might not surprise you that this game is, in a lot of ways, kind of a spiritually aligned with the Goemon series. Uh,
Which I have not played. I have played a bit of this through a demo
I
though.
played. I think I played that during the Super Nintendo era.
but yeah, it has the kind of weird energy and infatuation, like internal infatuation with sort of, I guess, Japanese festival culture, you might call it. I don't know how else I would clarify, because it's like it's not like just Japanese. It's specifically like it's a sort of it's a sort of pop culture representation of various facets of Japanese culture, usually surrounded by festivals. So, uh, in Bakeru, it's sort of a hybrid between a platformer and a beat 'em up that leans a bit heavier on the beat 'em up aspects. You play a Tanuki man, boy, something who basically, as a Tanuki, he can take on many forms, and predominantly throughout the game you are in his human form, beating up demons, but you will quickly be able to gain other, forms of different characters of Japanese fairy tales. And in fact, the game very clearly lays out as like, hey, this is a story where all the Japanese fairy tales are real. So you meet different characters throughout it, and like the pivotal one is like, oh, we need to go see Momotaro and figure out like why he might be acting up in
Hmm.
about the first third of the game. So uh you your character Bakeru and this small child in a teacup who is asking for his assistance basically head out on a quest to go figure out what's up with these other fairy tale characters, and ultimately figure out why this one big boss villain is unleashing a massive festival of demons across all of Japan. Immediately,
I
like,
would guess to celebrate a demon holiday or something?
kinda something like that, but probably the most striking thing about it is the map screen for this game is just an actual literal map of Japan. To
Hmm.
the degree that every level in it is, I believe, like a different prefecture across the country. It's kind of interesting because, like, aside from the sort of festival theming around it, it also seems to be obsessed with like Japanese travel or tourism. Um, what you'll do as you will go through, like, Bakeru as a character hasn't really strayed outside of, his home clan's area, but uh basically on this quest you hit up all across Japan, going to each of these actual real life named areas, and many of them are themed around what that place is actually famous for. Things like parks or beaches or resorts or things like that. And a lot of the collectibles, there's like two core kinds of collectibles. One of them are just souvenirs from the area, something that, like, hey, this is a popular thing in this region of Japan. Like, hey,
Hmm.
here is a big orange grove, and one of the souvenirs you would get is like, oh, it's oranges from this region. Uh, and then, like, also just pendants with the region name on it. And the other collectible is just weird trivia. Like, it's not always
This
just
sounds like a virtual Japanese theme park.
I don't exactly know how to explain it, but, like, at the end of the day, it's still, hey, you are going around these locations, beating up demons and doing mild platforming. And, like, it really hinges on that. It's just that it thematically, it's kind of what it hinges itself on. It's like a lot of good feel games, I would say that it's not a particularly difficult game, it's not a low impact game, and it's the kind of thing where I can fully understand why, if someone picked this up, they might be bored of it. Like, that's the kind of thing like I can fully understand. But where it really sets itself apart is just how crazy it can kind of get thematically. I I really like some of its imaginative locations. Well, I say imaginative, but like the sort of cartoony lens that they put over some areas of like Japanese architecture or landscape. The way that they sort of adapted, just beaches and resorts and
Hmm.
forests and cities into these sort of platforming locations. And stylistically, it makes some interesting choices. You know how in a smaller budget game you would be able to notice, like, oh, I can see where the water is tiling here. Well, in this case, like, it kind of leans into that. Even though you can see what the tiling is stylistic. Like, it is an actual pattern that they have designed, that they are purposely tiling in a repeated way that looks really nice. Um,
Hmm.
it definitely gets bonkers in the way that you might expect a Goemon game to get a bit bonkers. Uh, One of the first things you do in the game is you rescue a robot's dog sister. And for the rest of the game, the robot dog will then be your vehicle for like shooter sections, driving sections, boating sections, just these weird racing and shooting levels. And then also, hey, um, so Japan starts in the game, in like the first third of the game, you're walking across the country. Eventually, like, you go on. Basically, it's like, hey, what if Japan were a Mario World overworld map? And that's how you're
Hmm.
getting around. And then you get an airship.
Oh.
And then you get an airship. Also,
And then what? It becomes Final Fantasy VI?
and then that airship becomes a robot. And you have and then you have giant robot boss fights.
I'm seeing a tea kettle in the trailer.
You sure are. You sure are seeing a tea kettle in the trailer. It's bizarre.
Visually, this whole thing just reminds me of like a 3DS or like a Capcom Wii game.
Like it's
Like,
like it's, for me, I guess I haven't played a lot of Goemon games, but to me, I kind of get vibes of like the N64 one. That seems to be the best point of comparison I can come up with off the top of my head, where it just feels like, hey, it's a bunch of levels. They have a bunch of challenges and things to collect in them. Low impact, high style, but otherwise, like, it's just weird, good fun. It's been on sale a couple of times. This thing is on Switch. They have, like, I was really close for a period of actually just importing this game. And then ultimately they did decide to localize it. It is both on Switch and on Steam, and
it's kind of rare for a game like this to stay in Japan these days.
It is, but it's still not impossible, especially with a game as Japan-centric as this one is. Like, that's kind of the sticking point where it's like, oh, this game is very specifically interested in parts of Japan, but like it's extremely charming in the way that I find most good feel games to be really charming. The places where it is polished are really good, and the places where it kind of, isn't that demanding in gameplay can be noticeable if you're looking for, something that's going to be a bit more high impact. But generally speaking, like, the control scheme also is a little bit surprising for it. Rather than like just mashing a single button, you are armed with 2 magical taiko drum. I don't know what would you call the sticks that you hit a taiko drum with? I'm just gonna call them drumsticks and apologize for not maybe knowing a proper term for them. But effectively, your right shoulder button controls your left hit. Your left shoulder, I'm sorry, your left.
Yeah, I remember that from the demo now.
Yeah, your left.
It's a little awkward to me.
It's a little bit awkward, but you do get used to it. But effectively, hey, left shoulder's left hit, right shoulder's right hit. You can hit both, and I think it'll do twice as much damage, but it's a little bit less easy to manage in a bit of a combo sense.
The sticks are called bakshi.
Bachi. Okay. I don't know any better, so I believe you. But the general idea is, by sort of alternating between the two, you can just, set up a couple more hits than you would expect. It has really forgiving homing, we'll call it homing.
Yeah.
You can be pretty far away from an enemy and hit the attack button, and Bakeru will pretty quickly snap right to that enemy to perform a hit. They mix things up by having enemies that are a little bit more involved to deal with. One of the more complicated ones you meet early on is a swordsman enemy that they will deflect most of your attacks. However, you can counter them and most attacks with a well-timed shield raise attached to one of your other buttons. You have an actual drum that is a shield, and if you can time it in alignment with an enemy attack, then it will bounce off of them and stun them, or will deflect a projectile back at them or at something else. And once you actually get some of the transformations in the game, and get comfortable like swapping between them, there's a lot of things where you start to get a sense of like, okay, this transformation would be good to handling this enemy. This transformation would be good for handling this enemy. So a lot of what I would do in the game is uh one of them's, and I'm trying to remember the exact name of the fairy tale character, but he's armed with a fishing rod, double fishing rods that you can kind of swing wildly, and it won't hit as hard, but it will hit enemies a lot. So
Hmm.
if you combine that with, say, like with a lucky cat equipable item, which really increases how much money everything explodes into whenever you defeat it, you can just run into a big group of enemies, flail wildly, then before your transformation energy runs out, and then just make a ton of money that way. Or if you're running up against a bunch of swordsmen, which are a pain in the ass to deal with, you can quickly transform into the, I guess, sumo wrestler or shogun character or something, and just like really wipe them out pretty quickly because you do a bunch of attacks that they can't defend against. So
Hmm.
it becomes a game of like, you can take down enemies in multiple ways, but generally speaking, if you play around with the different transformations, you can usually find pretty effective ways to hit enemies. But as long as you have the energy to do the transformation and then jump back out, so I like it. I like it quite a bit. There's a lot more to it than I was expecting. I think I hit the last fairy tale character I was supposed to meet, and I was like, okay,
Oh, neat.
I guess we're on to the end game. Is like, nope, you're maybe a third of the way through the game, but honestly, you're probably not even that.
Hmm. I'll
Uh,
have to give that demo another shot.
yeah, I think it's really solid. If you can find it on sale, all the better. But quite honestly, I think if I would have paid $40 for this, I probably would have felt like it's worth it. For me and what I value in good feel games, I think there's a lot of content here. I think it's just a fun romp. You can kind of see where they cut some corners and reused some assets and everything, and find different ways that they remixed it, but it's just weird and whimsical enough that it's like, okay, I get that you're doing this, but also I kind of don't care because it's weird and bizarre and fun and delightful. So yeah, I give Bakeru a hearty recommendation.
So, Shigs, you've been playing Lego Fortnite.
Yeah. Basically, um, after I kind of busted my arm, back in the day when the pandemic was happening, and I was stuck at home all the time. My main game I was playing was Animal Crossing for a long time because I was a good one to chill out on. And I originally was trying to get to Lego Fortnite last year when it started, but it just wasn't at its peak at it. I wasn't feeling just right yet. It was way too hard, and then they did from regular. They added creative mode, which is super easy, and now they've added cozy mode, which is absolutely perfect because it's kind of in between, where you're still getting a bit of a challenge and an adventure, but you can take it easy if you want. If you like, if you get killed, you can make the option where you could just return to the last bed you laid in, and you still get your inventory and such.
Hmm.
And basically, I've been really enjoying it. Just going around, laying down villages and helping level them up, getting new villagers. Some of them you can get them to follow you and have them help you attack other monsters and creatures in the game. Right now, it's going as Lego Fortnite Odyssey, which you're having to deal with these certain storm areas where you have enemies affected by the storm, and they kind of turn like a pinkish hue, and you got to fight them, and then go into their tower and do stuff from there. But basically, like having to doing the creative stuff, building out your villages and doing all this other stuff. There's always a quest to do, always something to do. So while I sit down and I think I'm going to play for like a half hour, and ends up like 1 or 2 hours.
So is it kind of
And
structured like an MMO then?
kind of, but you're just playing on your own.
Okay, so
So
this is
what? It's a
not a
single player game.
No, it's a single player. It's single player. Yeah.
Wow, that's
So it's more like
surprising.
a more like a Minecraft, or it's a survivor game, but you can do
Ah,
a
okay.
kind of easy mode survivor game with a very huge map to play with,
Like
and they added battle buses to it, which if you can get the material is really handy because it's basically a warp. You could go to instant travel on the map certain places.
so like crafting or not crafting, building was a big component of actual Fortnite itself. How do they implement it in Lego?
Well, when you do building in Fortnite, it's either like wood or brick or something else, and you can just do it pretty much instantly. You just aim at something and you can do floors and walls real fast. It's kind of the same thing, but it takes a little bit like if you're because you're not just making a quick shelter, you're making a like a house or a garage or all these other things. So once you lay it down, you got to make sure you have enough wood, enough granite, or other stuff like marble or glass or whatever, depending on if you're going to do a house or what have you. Like I did a haunted house recently.
So
I
it's
hmm.
built up, and it could take anywhere from like 20 steps to or 16 steps to put together. To the haunted house was like 84 steps,
is it
So
sort
and
of an
that's a lot of material.
is it sort of an auto build, or is it more like where you need to just get specific materials and it's like, hey, you got the materials, it builds the thing, or is it like you're actually
Well,
constructing brick by brick?
not brick by brick, but step by step. Like they'll have a piece like a if you have a floor, you'll have several flat floors so you put down at once, but depending on the size, and you got to go back get the smaller size panels for the floors and put those in. The walls might have both walls and little what do they call those panels for for the outside just to get it just right. So it is kind of it's a little more step by step, but not like brick by brick, which would take forever.
Okay, so you're not like I want to build the house in my mind. It's more like I have a blueprint or a schematic for the house
Yeah,
that I want,
exactly.
and then I just need
Well,
to make sure I have everything for it.
you can do both. There
Okay.
are you can do because there are ones where you could just put the Lego pieces together and make whatever the heck you want. You don't really get rewarded for that as far as your village goes, but you do have also blueprints where you could create, like I said, a haunted house, a castle, an arcade, and that kind of thing.
D- uh,
And there's several different environments that you could build on and work with.
were you ever
And every time you level up your village, you can have new characters come to want to live with you, and you can put them to work to get resources like food and gemstones and what have you.
okay? This to me, what I'm hearing is I don't know if I would say it sounds obvious. Yeah, Minecraft would be the probably the good comparison. To me, my point of reference is this sounds a lot like the Dragon Quest builder games with the degree to which you have access to like NPCs that can assist you.
You only get one NPC to go with you, but the NPCs that stay at the village will like cook food and
Yeah, that's
they
very
make
Dragon
steel
Quest
and what have you.
builders.
Hmm.
Okay, so I guess it is kind of like that.
Okay.
This is the one where if you don't really feel like you want a battle pass, you don't really need it to have a good time and just enjoy, putting up stuff together.
I do like Dragon Quest
But
builders.
yeah, basically
So,
it's a great just chill and relax type of game.
this
Just
sounds pretty
chill
different
out
from
with for a good hour for a few hours.
this sounds pretty different from your standard Lego game.
Yeah, it's very different. Like I said, it's more of a cross between a Minecraft game and a survival
Hmm.
game.
Okay.
Well, you can make it a survival game if you play in the normal mode. I got it in cozy, so even if I die, I just end up back in my pen with all my inventory.
All
But then I might
right.
have a long way to go back to to get back to where I was trying to get to.
Okay. So, you have any final thoughts on that?
Oh, speaking of Fortnite, I guess this week they got Hatsune Miku as the music battle
I
pass. Now they did
saw.
this thing with the
And
where if
Godzilla.
you're if you're doing the whatchamacallit, the crew bundle, which is a subscription one, you do like $12 a month and you get the 1,000 V-Bucks and you get all of the battle passes now because they have several ridiculous amount of battle passes. They have Battle Royal, they have I guess the race cars, they have the music pass, and then they have the Lego pass. So there's four altogether.
Hmm.
Jeez.
I guess though
Yeah,
I
and
love
there's
I love seeing other
and
characters
that's
doing Hatsune Miiko's animations.
So
yeah.
Um,
So Hatsune Miku is the latest one for Fortnite Festival, but sorry, for guys at Epic Games are smart. The Hatsune Miku you get has like some kind of pink winter outfit on that you can get with her. But if you want her with her normal standard outfit, you have to pay V-Bucks for that.
okay.
jeez. So
That's how
so
they get you on that.
tell me.
Except Godzilla,
Uh,
Godzilla is it's a mid is in the middle of the Battle Royal season pass. He starts on Friday, and that's just the regular movie Godzilla with the pink ho- evolutionary spikes on his back, or you can do him in blue,
You see,
his
if you
dorsal
want
fins.
the Godzilla in the traditional Hatsune Miku outfit, that costs extra V-Bucks.
Hey, all right. I do love that they're going to have Mothra as a glider to glide into the map. That's
Okay.
freaking awesome. But yeah, with the Godzilla one, even they're doing Kong with his Beast Glove and Mecha Godzilla, but you have to buy those separately from the regular Godzilla
Are
pass.
any of those Lego compatible?
Maybe the only ones that are not Lego minifigs are all of the DC characters except for the ones that came with the Joker 3-pack.
hmm.
Okay,
So basically, all other characters in the game are
So what,
Lego-fied. So
GX? Are you saying that you want
I would expect Godzilla to be Lego-fied. Even Hatsune Miku is Lego-fied.
GX? Are you saying you want Lego Hatsune Miku?
I want to see Lego Hatsune Miku. I don't want to
Okay,
own
well,
Lego
we can
Hatsune
look it
Miku,
up.
but I want to see Lego Hatsune Miku, much in the same way that I need to go see if I need to see what Lego Goku looks like.
Hmm.
I have a sense of what he looks like because I've seen a lot of mock-up and bootleg minifigs, but I want to see what
He
they
is.
see as Lego.
Actually, besides DC, he might be one of the ones that's not Lego-fied. Let me
Ah,
check.
come on,
In
toy.
any case, so I have been playing
You've been playing
Balatro
Balatro. You've
Plus
been playing Balatro.
on my Apple Arcade subscription. See, you can
Hallelujah.
use it for other things.
Hallelujah. You can use it for not
Apple,
gambling.
yeah, Apple Arcade actually has a pretty decent library, but this was the first one that I saw. I was all like, okay, as soon as I'm done with this other stuff, I need to play it. And then I got done with that other stuff over Christmas, and then I downloaded it, and then I played it, and yes, it is extremely good.
Now we just need to we just need to infect Shigs.
Jigs, do you have Apple Arcade?
Oh, but I do play Balatro. I do play that one
Okay,
Ah,
quite a
everyone
bit.
here is infected now. Perfect. We've all got herd immunity.
but
I've
yeah,
men-
like
I've
this seemed
mentioned on
like a
Discord that I've beaten a few different runs.
this seemed like a perfect game for an iPad, and it is indeed a perfect game for an iPad. It is extremely touchscreen friendly, and that's part of what just makes it super duper addictive for me. Because like I can just like bust out my mobile device, put it on, and try to play a run, and fail the run at like the sixth or seventh ante, and then go do something else. But like I'm no stranger to video game poker, single player, non gambling video game poker. Like I actually cut my teeth on poker at the inventory too on the Xbox 360 back in the day. Spent some long nights on that. um,
Okay, just for GX sake, I'll let him know Goku has not been Lego-fied.
Ah, dang.
They just do a random default Lego Fortnite character for
Okay,
the
how about
Lego
Optimus Prime?
representation.
How about skinny Optimus
Nope,
Prime?
nope, he's not in there. Neither of the
Ah,
other
you're killing me.
Transformers ones.
Anyway, so I already have an idea of some of the poker rules, some of the hands from playing Poker Night Inventory 1 and 2 with like Salmon Max and Brock Sampson and stuff. But I will say that Balatro does do a much better job of making you learn all of the different hands, because I don't think I really knew what flushes were until now. Or straight flushes. I didn't know I could just like take a bunch of cards of the same of the same type and put them together, and I'd have a hand.
You certainly need to
But
do. You certainly need to learn those two things.
yes, but so now I know flushes and straight flushes, and pairs, two pairs, full houses, all the hands. I know all the hands now. I can finally just play poker, albeit I cannot unfortunately take a banana and slam it on the table and hope I have that I have a chance of like getting a multiplier, which this is such an addicting arcade game.
It's
Like,
all in the jokers that you get. If you
yeah,
got a really
like
good joker hand, you'll always have a good poker hand.
it's not just poker. There's so much strategy to this, and
Oh yeah.
because it's a roguelike, there is a new strategy for every single run, because you never know what you're going to get. But like, you have to just formulate your strategy as you go. Like you have to you just buy the best jokers that you can, or the ones that will go towards a certain strategy or kinds of hands that you like to play. And I often find myself just kind of pigeonholing myself into relying on like certain combinations of hands, and I try to like pick the broadest strategy. So like, if I can't get like a two pair or a full house, like that straight won't be worthless to me. So like there's like a middle ground that I've been trying to hit between specializing in certain hands and multipliers, and also just making sure that I still have a good, decent, like all around ability. Which you upgrade different hands by purchasing planet cards. I purchase basically all of the planet cards except for straight flushes, because I almost never get straight flushes, and when I do, they're worth a lot anyway. So, like, just upgrading a flush will usually be enough. but but like I really do enjoy just kind of just trying to strategize as I go, and being careful with what I discard and how I discard, and like always hoping that I get the cards that I want for that specific kind of hand that I want. And it is just supremely addictive because like, like the runs are relatively quick to do. I've yet to complete one. I always tend to die on the seventh ante, if not a little sooner.
I will tell you
But
that as you unlock more actual cards and like card types, that will
yeah,
help push you towards more advanced strategies that you will be able to get farther and farther.
I probably have not been diving into those cards as much as I probably should, although that is in part because I'm trying to like win with the basic hands and basic red. Is it the red deck or the white deck? I think it's the red deck. Right before I like go into the deeper stuff, because that's just how my brain works. One thing I do like to do is once you fail a run, you can like copy and paste a code to try that run again. And every now and then, if I find a run where I do pretty well, I will copy and paste it and give it another go. And I have a whole bunch of like screenshots of fail screens on my iPad, so that I can copy and paste that code and stick it in again to give it another attempt. But yeah, like Balatro is extremely fun, addicting game, and I'm looking forward to getting deeper into the strategy of it all. Now,
Cool.
that's not the only game I've been playing, albeit it is the. Shigs, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say my best hand so far after doing a winning run and continuing was like 2.5 million.
Oh, damn.
Oh yeah,
I do know
you
that.
get crazy numbers. Like you're going to get to a point where the order that your jokers pop off starts to really matter. So just keep that in mind. Like eventually you're gonna get there, but
I wasn't aware that Joker order mattered.
yeah, you can arrange your jokers to change the
Yeah.
order that
Oh
they
yeah,
pop
for
off.
sure. So the
I need to mess
recommendation
with
is
that.
you put your score based ones to
Let's
the left and
let's
your multipliers to the right.
let's let him figure it out on his own.
So you
All
mean
right.
when you say score base, you mean the chips, right?
The chips, yeah.
Okay.
That's what
No,
I'd recommend.
that's not the only game I've been playing, albeit it is the primary game I've been playing, aside from like some Sonic Dream Team and Rumble. But I have dabbled in in our first piece of news for tonight, which is the Sonic Robo Blast 2 port for the Sega 32X. Um, Now, this came out around Christmas. I have yet to write anything on it because I had other articles to prioritize at the time, especially with the movie and stuff. But like basically a bunch of devs, including like some ex Sonic Robo Blast devs, like um uh what's this SSN SSN Tails and the founder of Sonic ROM hacking ROM hacking scene Saxman. They basically took Sonic Robo Blast and they ported it to and they rewrote it to work within 256 kilobytes of RAM using the Doom 32X Resurrection engine, which which is another fan project that sought to do a better port of Doom to the 32X. And the one thing I love about this, just like in a basic sense, is that ever since I found out what RoboBlast was, one thing I've always wondered is, I wonder if this thing can run on the 32X. Like, could this have been how 3D Sonic could have been done on that console? Because there is technically a port of Doom on it. It's not a very good port, but that's because it was rushed. So it could certainly handle games like this, but like, are there other things like underneath the hood that would make that impossible? And lo and behold, we have our answer. It can technically run on the 32X. Now, this is version 0.1, so it only has 3 levels right now. Like you can pick them through a bug select through like a select screen, as like a very basic menu. Like it's pre-alpha essentially. Like, and there's not even sound effects for any of the robots or anything. Now the biggest issue with the game at the moment is that the frame rate is quite low. Like it's typically around like 17 frames per second. You know, sometimes it falls into the single digits. But you know, that's to be expected with a port that is this fresh.
Yeah,
It
bluntly
has not.
speaking, any PC game is going to let's say any PC game that was made 1999 or later is going to be more more demanding than any Genesis game.
Well, yeah, but this is 32X.
I stand by my point.
But regardless, Sonic Robo Blast 2 is based off of the original Doom engine.
Sure.
Which I admit, which you know is a game from the mid '90s. But regardless, like the 32X can run it. It's playable most of the time, and they are going to have plenty of and it's going to be really interesting seeing them progress with this and optimize it. Already, like it is like a pretty impressive game because it has some pretty large open 3D areas. It controls pretty well. Sonic has a homing attack. Um, it does feel like things have been rejiggered a bit to work on a control pad instead of a mouse and keyboard, which has always been kind of one of my roadblocks for the for Sonic Robo Blast. I want a controller, but that's not like officially supported, and like I had issues getting the mods to work. But like just like from a purely technical level, this is a really cool piece of tech. And if you and if you have like a flash a ROM card of any kind, a 32X, you can download it and try it yourself.
Okay, I got a quick question. Will it run off a PDF file?
I don't know, probably, given that they got regular Doom running on it today. I still haven't looked into that to see how that's possible. I'm guessing that this is a PDF file that can execute some kind of program or something.
I believe, yeah, I think some of them can. I'm trying to remember the exact degree that it could. But yeah, there's nothing more than I want out of life than to be able to load a WAD into a PDF. Or hell, a WAD into a 32X.
So there's still a lot of work to do, but they do intend to eventually get the entire game ported to a cartridge. During the rewrite, they will be making some changes to the level design and to the control scheme. Although so far I haven't really noticed any alterations. Doesn't really feel like any of the areas have been shrunken down from what I've played of the PC port. But I'm also no Robo Blast 2 expert. But yeah.
How much of it have you played? How much of like Robo Blast proper have you played?
I think for the original, I've basically like played a tutorial level and the first 3 stages, which is what is in this. I think I did go a little bit beyond that. And I think I also played the Nights into Dreams Supersonic special stages. One of those.
I am a terrible Sonic fan. I don't think I've ever touched it.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind mouse and keyboard setup, you have no excuse not to.
I mean, hey, Steam these days, you can reprogram anything to be anything.
Yeah, and there are mods out there. I just have issues getting them to work.
I am very curious about the racing version. I can't remember if it's like a standalone or if it's like a mod you have to install in on it, but...
It is a mod, but I feel like you should be able to play it standalone. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, people treat it like a standalone game.
So. I know I had a reasonable time with Ring Racer. I guess that's kind of like, okay, what... I get the impression it's like, what if that, but slightly less technical? I don't know. Cool.
In any case, we're going to move on to a game that I know at least me and GX have played. Shigs, you never got back to me.
Played it.
What?
I have not played it.
Okay. So, Sonic Galactic. This came out a couple of weeks ago. It got the second demo. I think it was initially planned for like last year or something, but like it got delayed. But like it's finally out. It's five whole stages and has a full cast of characters, and it is an extremely good Sonic game.
It is shockingly polished, is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
The pitch for Galactic is effectively like, okay, what if purely stylistically, rather than focusing on trying to make like, okay, what's going to be a 3D Sonic on the Saturn in the ways that they attempted to do that through multiple vectors, and instead be like, okay, what if we made the next major 2D Sega Sonic game, but on a piece of hardware that can handle a bit more. So it's still like pixel art and low polygon special features, but by and large, like the best way I describe it is it is Mania-esque in what it can do with its art.
Yeah. It really is in the vein of some other like 32-bit-esque Sonic games like Sonic Mania and Sonic Ultra Saturn in terms of its visual style.
And I would not have given it like the moniker of like like in the first zone, maybe in like first and second up to third, I might have been inclined to say, well, I mean, I appreciate that they are trying to evoke Saturn, but I don't think they're really doing it. But once I got to some of the later stages in the demo, was like, okay, no, this boss right here looks like something that I would see in frickin' Mega Man 8. So yeah, I think you got it. I think you got there.
Like I don't know. I definitely feel like I'm getting a bit of a Saturn vibe, as much as you can get a Saturn vibe from a 2D Sonic game. But
It's so
like, but by and large,
stylish.
yeah. But by and large, like, this is just kind of an excuse to go beyond the 16-bit aesthetic for something that is much more detailed and much more colorful. And Sonic Galactic absolutely nails it. It is a very beautiful game.
Oh yeah.
The characters have great animations. The 3D special stages have this cool 32-bit low poly aesthetic that, you know, isn't flat shaded. It's textured, but it's got that kind of like that classic retro 3D texturing,
Like very
that is
simple
really
geometry.
cute. Yeah, like it's not something that I think you actually saw very much back then. Like I think you only saw on like maybe a couple late gen N64 and PlayStation games.
Like, it's not that far
Um,
removed from how the special stages in Knuckles Chaotix were structured, but I would say
well,
they run much better.
well, so like for the special stages, you run through a 3D checkerboard environment. The environment is basically flat shaded, unlike your character, and you auto run and you platform and you platform across 3D platforms, trying to get enough rings to beat the stage.
And
And you have to like hit this very specific thing with your rings in order for the rings to get collected.
it took me a while to figure this out because it's basically, hey, like a 3D platforming stage with some with an auto running structure, and then you just continue to do laps through it, sort of like you did in Knuckles Chaotix, until you get the set number of rings that they expect for you. And there's plenty of different weird and diverging paths that you can try to poke at
Yeah,
in order to
like
actually get the maximum number of rings that it's asking of you.
there's a bunch of high paths, medium paths. There's a couple tunnels that you can take. I was having some issues with some of the platforming, so I was really just kind of going for the
Oh, it's
tunnel and trying to hit as many UFOs as I
oh,
could.
it seems like this is something that you really have to learn in order to figure out like what it's even asking from you. It took me at least it took me a whole run to figure out like, wait, am I not supposed to go in the middle of the whole time? It's like, no, you just keep doing laps until you get what you need and then head towards the middle where the emerald is.
I figured it out pretty quickly, although I didn't realize you could miss the thing that you use to collect your rings until like midway through my first lap.
Yeah,
Like
these
I figured that was just like automatic, but it is not. You have to make contact.
I imagine these can get pretty intricate in the later versions. But back to like the core
The
gameplay.
2D,
Yeah.
yeah, the 2D stages flow extremely well. They have that kind of like, you know, that feeling of, you know, of a constant roller coaster where you're constantly being thrown around and reacting and jumping and platforming, and you're constantly trying to just keep yourself moving, and it feels really good to do that. And that's really complemented by the moves of some of these characters. Like, Sonic is, oddly enough, probably one of the most unique experiences in the game, because he can freaking drop dash up walls, and then he can
To a
like
degree.
jump off the wall for some extra momentum.
Yeah, the interesting thing is they kind of made little tweaks to the ways that the characters control, and Sonic's primary move, as you said, is the drop dash, and they made it so that it's not a full speed drop dash up walls. It's usually just like a little hop that pushes him upwards that you
Oh
can
yeah,
then
if you got enough momentum though, you can like it can be really useful.
yeah, it gives him a little it gives him a little bit of ups that he never really had in the official classic games that like if you are playing as Tails or Knuckles, you know, that would be nothing. But Sonic
Yeah.
really doesn't have the capacity to kind of like get that extra bit of verticality. I only played with two characters. I played with Sonic, and then I also played with the original character for this game called Tunnel the Mole.
Oh man, Tunnel is really cool.
Tunnel's interesting. I
I
kind
like
of
the classic art they have for that character.
yeah.
It really makes it
It,
feel like an original, you know?
oh, Sonic fan artists have gotten very good at recreating that style. But the idea of tunnels is he has a sort of downward dash that you can a drop, not a drop. What do you call it? Like a
I don't
just
know
a,
what's
just
tunneling.
an
Like
instant.
he slams himself into the ground and then he like pops up waist deep.
Yeah, and the tool of that is basically is number one. You can use it to break through bottom barriers in the same way that Mighty could in Sonic Mania. That it's
Yeah.
just a powerful downward attack. But the other half of it is if you just land on standard ground, he'll go into this sort of jump, like prep for jumping, halfway sticking out, like you said, and he will, with a great effort, shoot himself out of the hole at like an angle left or right, depending on where
Yeah,
you're
he gets
aiming.
a lot of air from that.
He gets an incredible amount of air, and then what you can do is if you then link that to going into a wall, he can then stick out of the wall and repeat it moving upwards again diagonally. So I haven't found a good use case for it because I hadn't gotten too far with him, but it seems like you could probably use that to get some pretty
It's
strong upwards
yeah,
positioning.
it's very good for vertical movements. Um and also just like, you know, attacking enemies and stuff. I was using it constantly while I was playing with him, and it did take me a little bit of time to like get used to it. He does seem to be one of the more difficult characters, but as I was getting used to it, it started to feel really natural to me. Um, and it really just gives him a very unique sense of movement versus other Sonic characters, while still feeling completely at home with them. Um, really, my only issue with him at the moment is that there's no real way to know whether or not you can actually like dig into a surface or just bounce off. It's like I would think, okay, so like I can dig through dirt surfaces, and maybe I would bounce off wood surfaces, but no, you can dig through both, except for like certain surfaces that don't have any kind of marking on them. But I guess that's something that you can't necessarily help when you're making a character interactable with every single surface.
Yeah. But yeah,
Um,
like I if I have a criticism, and I'm not even sure I think of this fully as a criticism, but for me it does lean a bit on the easy side. Like I
it does from what I've played.
but it kind of comes down to like, okay, are you looking for the challenging Sonic levels? Are you looking for the one that sort of institutes a flow? And in terms of flow, I will say this: they freaking solved Sonic Underwater. Well, Sonic Colors also solved Sonic Underwater,
I
but
mean, they basically made everything bubbles.
yeah, it like it's most Sonic Underwater stages suck. And they suck primarily
Aside
because
from Hydro City.
well, even Hydro City, like you have to sit there and wait for the bubble to just spawn on whatever. I don't know if it's random or timer or what, but it always feels like it takes forever.
But with this one, you basically get like a temporary bubble shield.
They give you, yeah, they give you this. They just have these flowers underwater, and all they do is generate a bubble that you can hop into. It lasts for like a couple seconds to refill your oxygen, and then once it bursts, then you're on your water timer again. And that's so much more streamlined than anything anybody else has done in the series.
And in addition to that, like you have these like momentum pendulums that will swing you forward that are also bubbles. You have like these whirlpools that you can use to like jump into and spin around and then leap out to get some additional height to get to a higher platform. That's bubbles. That'll get you there. Like I had one moment throughout that entire level, which by the way took me like 9 minutes. It was my only real issue with it was kind of long. I only had like one moment where I was almost gonna drown.
And I know, like,
it does still affect your momentum because, like, I couldn't like get as much speed off a wall as I could out
sure,
out of
I
water.
could not institute a wall jump at all underwater, so I'm assuming like, hey, there's still going to be a bit of trade off here, but otherwise, like, I was having a very good time with this. I think at the end of the day, if I were to draw the immediate comparison, hey, if you haven't played Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, go play Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. That felt like a better balance between difficulty and flow to me. But
Yeah.
what it was doing stylistically was really impressive. I was left wanting more. There are parts of that game that, through its environments, take you through locations in ways that Sonic games typically do not do. The last boss you fight, the lead up to it is just absolutely amazing for a classic style platformer, and I loved it. I loved it so much.
The bosses are pretty cool in this. Like your first one is this caterpillar that you have to chase down, and the second one is like Dr. Eggman and this spinning electric top that spins itself on the ground and like shoots electricity. Then
the first one you
there's
fight
also
in the city is a robotic disco ball that wields an electric guitar that is also a literal axe.
I only managed to get to Luminous City, which I played like about a minute and a half of that before the show, and it's an absolutely gorgeous level.
Oh, the lead up to that boss fight is amazing.
I'm looking forward to that now.
But yeah, it's really neat. It's a sizable, I would say a sizable demo, like two and a half whole zones is pretty solid. I
thought it was 5 zones.
No, it's 5 levels total.
Okay.
But it's
so I'm almost at the end now.
Yeah, you're almost at the end there of the demo. So
okay.
I think, and honestly I have complaints about this in regular Sonic games as well. I'm someone who leans towards, hey, have shorter levels and more of them. Even if it means that basically you have the same amount of content, but just split it into multiple levels. These levels can get pretty long.
Yeah, like I said, the first water level, that one was feeling a little long in the tooth near the end there, and the only reason why I find that mostly acceptable is because the level after that is just completely different.
Honestly, like the water level, what I was thinking as I was going through it was, okay, I don't know if I have it in me to do another one of these. And then it was like, oh, okay. I guess this zone only has one act. And it's like, no, it has 2 acts, but the second act is very, very different. So,
yeah.
Which
that is a very mania thing to do.
It is. It's extremely.
And at the very least, I really did enjoy that crab boss, which like has 2 different attacks depending on which side you're on. So like, yeah, definitely check it out. Now I did play all of the characters a little bit. So Fang, he has this he has like all the standard Sonic moves, but then he can also use his pop gun to shoot down. He gets himself some extra air. So it's like, I don't know, like downward. I guess a downward upward attack. I was kind of expecting him to be using the Marvelous Queen, but no, mostly is just a Sonic character, but with that one shooting move.
I mean, I'm always a fan of, hey, how can we give a Sonic character a different style of locomotion?
Yeah. So like he's pretty good at like getting like upward air, and he's pretty good at attacking. And Knuckles and Tails, I played both of them very briefly. They do seem to be just pretty standard, although they are animated gorgeously. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting more of this.
Nice. It is. Even though I wrote up the article and like went over it, like I was kind of hesitant to give it a shot just because it usually. I usually have to be in the right mindset to be like, I'm gonna play these fan games, and that mindset is usually
Big.
Sage, and and I'm glad I gave it a shot. I think it's a really fun thing. I'm looking forward to more content in it, and that's probably going to be the hardest part is just knowing that it is a demo for something that's going to be bigger.
But thankfully, like development seems pretty stable. It's been going on for a while, so hopefully this is one of those side projects that makes it all the way to the end.
I sure hope so, and I wish them the best.
So moving on. Who here watched the TailsTube?
I watched the TailsTube.
Yes.
So,
Both.
like, by and large, like this was just a fun, little YouTube animated short to, like, end off the year. Like, they weren't selling anything. They didn't really give us a whole lot of lore. It was just Tails calling into a few of his friends, and Sonic hilariously trying to crash every single call for some reason. I enjoyed it. I could go for more like this.
That's fine. I
He was
But
trying to visit all of his friends for New Year's at once.
yeah.
I did not love it. I did not hate it. I felt it was like, yeah, this is another one of these.
But we did technically get a bit of lore
Bit of
dropped in
something.
this in a background element. So we finally know who the mysterious pink-haired girl is, and she is Professor Victoria, who as near as we can tell, like apparently she is the one who delivered Professor Gerald's journal to Gunn, and it seems she is some sort of historian or archaeologist.
Wait, okay, wait, hold on. How do we get to that point? How
Okay, so Sonic fans basically did some digging, and uh, in the Japanese version of the journal, the final letter from the person who delivered it, she, calls themselves Tori, which is short for Victoria.
jeez. Are you
Yeah.
in the Japanese
Talking
version
about
just? What?
of Sonic X Shadow.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, in Sonic Shadow.
Of
But
Emerald's what's his name's journal?
Of the
yeah.
promotional
Gerald.
journal that included.
Well, no,
Right.
also the digital one that you can read.
Yeah,
That you
it's
can
still
read in the game.
promotional. That doesn't just because it's digital doesn't mean it's not promotional, my dude.
I mean, I'd only call the physical version promotional. But in any case, and she has a book. She authored a book on the table, Mysteries of History by Professor Victoria. So it seems like we're probably gonna finally be learning more about her in the coming year.
I suppose. Like my takeaway from this is just kind of the reinforcement of, hey, it seems like whatever happened at the end of Frontiers is signaling some sort of shift in the series, and the way that characters were talking in this felt like that reinforced it.
I think at the very least there has been a shift in how Sega is handling the world cohesion and stuff. And my feeling is that this is going to be a character that will like basically be focused on helping to establish various aspects of of their world's history and such.
I was just more pointing
If
to
they
like
use
how
her ever again.
And yeah, like in terms of like the New Year's resolution stuff, they did repeat what they said in Sonic Frontiers. Yeah.
to me that's the most telling thing. Like not this character that they're trying to introduce through bizarre means, but just the nature by which they are kind of reiterating again and again. It's like, we want to do all of these things with our time. That it almost sounds like, hey, the next time we get the next major Sonic game that isn't going to be a kart racer or whatever, that it might be following on whatever changes they want to make to the nature of the franchise.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully.
I am certainly hoping.
So, Shigs, were you saying something?
No. I was
Oh.
saying, yeah, it's the journal is also in game, so it's hard to say if that's promotional. I mean, there's a physical copy, but it's also in game, so it's kind of
Oh, well,
in
yeah,
between.
that's the point I was making. But anyway, moving on to something I don't care about, but GX wrote, and
I didn't write. No, I didn't write anything.
Wait, you didn't write the Minecraft article? Oh crap!
No, I didn't write. Well, no, one of our great community members, basically did a full write up on the forums, and we promoted it to a full article.
Oh well, if I knew that, I would have read myself. But I don't know. There's new Minecraft content, I guess.
I still read over it and I still edited it. But hey, shout out to the
Yeah, I was a
Dominator.
little confused.
Yeah, shout
out to the Dominator
for writing it. But yeah, basically they lay out like what is different about this. So this is the third Minecraft Sonic pack. However, for most of the Minecraft marketplace things prior, the structure of DLC was like, hey, you needed to create a specialized world that was specifically built around that DLC pack that you wanted. And then the second part was like, okay, the second thing is just a bunch of skins. Minecraft has recently instituted a new form of DLC called an add-on. And what makes add-ons distinct
Right.
is it can add additional elements into an existing Minecraft world. So if you want to like mix and match different add-on packs, that would be something that you could do with add-ons as opposed to like having to go out and say, well, I'm going to create an instance of the Sonic world I want to play and then do all of the Sonic stuff there. Now you can bring the Sonic stuff into the thing you have.
Hmm. Okay, well, I guess that sounds safe. So that means you can just like use the Sonic content in any Minecraft server now.
Maybe not any Minecraft server. This is hey, as part of being the marketplace, you're working with Bedrock. You're not working with the Java version. And from there, like you can implement it into any server that I'm assuming allows add-ons. I don't know offhand if all servers allow that or not, or if you like have to say, hey, my server this time or my instance this time is going to be an add-on server because you know Minecraft can be a heavily multiplayer game if you want it to be. But yeah, it has playable Amy, Tails, Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles, and they each have different abilities. You can add rings into the world. I believe you can like add certain item boxes as special crafting stuff. I don't know everything in it because I am also not my Minecraft experience is rather limited. But
I think the real question is, does it have Mephiles?
oh, almost certainly not.
Yeah, it looks
No.
like the only one you didn't mention was Shadow.
No, I did
Objectively,
mention
the best one.
Shadow.
Oh,
he said
okay.
Shadow. I heard him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, regardless, well, someone needs to start playing this game. they're gonna keep putting Sonic content in
Over
it,
the
it's not gonna be
holidays,
me.
I got a cheap copy of Minecraft for PC, so I'm
Oh,
moving in that general direction.
well, okay.
Maybe I can get Reef to walk me through how to learning this very, very popular game that has just passed me by.
I'll play it once it hits the Dreamcast.
Oh crap!
Um,
No, what are you talking
I
about?
mean, I mean, someone is like remaking Minecraft for like Dreamcast
My
and
dude,
GameCube. But...
you can install Minecraft onto a Raspberry Pi. There is a
yeah, but
dedicated version.
that's not novel to me. Playing it on a Dreamcast is novel to me. Otherwise, I just don't care about this game.
Just
So,
John.
speaking of things that I probably don't care about, MyArcade has also showed off a bunch of Sega cabinets, including a pair of new Sonic mini arcade cabinets. These will include Sonic 1, 2, CD, Spinball, and 3D Blast, which I admit, these were more games than I was expecting. I figured it would just be Sonic 1, but no, it's like all of this Genesis stuff aside from
Three
Sonic
Nuckles.
3.
Wait,
I guess
does it include Spinball?
I'm pretty sure
I
it
believe
does.
he's right. Yes,
Okay.
I believe he is right.
Yeah,
I know it's 5 games.
it was a little weird because some of the images that they showed early on of some of the versions only showed like one button, and there aren't a lot of Sonic games that you can only play with one button. Basically, just 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, and that's kind of where the list ends. The most impressive thing is getting CD in there. To be honest, like
Oh yeah.
that's the one that would require additional emulation, but yeah, MyArcade makes novelty emulation boxes. They have different form factors that you can get for it. Some of them are like handheld devices. Some of them are like tiny arcade cabinets. But when I say tiny arcade cabinets, I mean these things are not a great way to play these retro games.
They are not. They have a tiny joystick and like basically like it's like if they attached a Sega Genesis controller to this like I don't know 10-inch tall arcade machine with a looks like a 5-inch screen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
Everything's that much.
honestly, I feel like you're describing my my Astro City Mini, which I think is even significantly bigger of screen than those are. Like once you see a hand for scale, it's like, oh, these things are small. But like, hey, if you want something that looks cool and is technically functional, even if it's not an ideal way to play the game, like that has appeal. It's why I own my Astro City Mini, because I think that arcade cabinet looks awesome. I love the look of it.
All right,
Yeah.
so the one button version just has Sonic 1 and 2.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. But yeah, like, hey, it's a cute little novelty. I would say if you get one of these, it's because you want the look of a tiny arcade cabinet, not because you want to play games on it, which is why I suspect a lot of people get things like this.
All I know is I have been wanting them to do like a version of this with Sega Sonic Arcade for a long time now.
No, you don't want something like this with Sonic Arcade. You want something on like a real TV or whatever. Like
maybe you can connect to a real TV.
These cannot.
Like, maybe
don't.
it could be like your Astro Arcade Mini thing. I think that can connect to a TV.
Sure, but my Astro City was like $100 or something. These are like 40. So don't get your hopes up on what this stuff would be. No, I think what you want is solid. I think what you want is like MAME on that upcoming Atari gamepad or something.
Oh yeah, that thing does have a roller ball on it, a trackball.
That's the one I'm interested in. Is the Game Station Go there?
Yeah.
You got not only your D-pad, but you got your paddle area and a little trackball for like Centipede and Crystal Castles and all those, and
And it's got a numerical
even
pad.
a number pad for like 5200, or if they manage to put a
Intellivision.
Intellivision emulator in there, that'd be kind of
Oh, I
cool.
bet they could, because they own Intellivision now. Because
I mean,
so
technically they could
Yeah,
also
stuff on the
do
list though just says
Jaguar.
M Network, and not Intellivision, but who knows? Plus, they're pretty open about, hey, you can emulate and put ROMs in this thing. That's how they were with the Atari 400 Mini. They said, hey, you could download your 5200 games and put them in there. It says it like right on the box. And it's like, okay,
I
your
might be
legally
interested.
acquired backups, of course.
right.
I might be interested in this if they have like I don't know, I guess Intellivision and Jaguar. Otherwise, probably not.
Knuckles.
What?
You can
What?
just buy a trackball controller that you can hook up to a PC. That's something that you can do. They make those.
Oh, I'm not talking about Sonic Arcade.
Okay.
But yeah, I could do that.
You could do that. That's something that is within your power.
So, moving on, Scott Dreyer, the former voice for Knuckles, recently attended a panel with Ryan Drummond and Brian. Damn it! What's Shadow the Hedgehog's voice's name?
Is it Griffith?
No, that, from Heroes. God damn it. So Scott Dreyer attended a Sonic Heroes reunion panel with Ryan Drummond and David Humphrey.
Yes.
And they told various stories, but by far the most interesting one to me was the anecdote. Was apparently, now we've all played Sonic Heroes, and we've all played. We have all used Knuckles in Sonic Heroes, and so we all know that he says shift rock yeah when he's attacking robots.
Do we all know that?
And for the longest time, I thought, that sounds like shit. But this is a Sonic game, so
you ain't alone in that. So
I was assuming it was like shit, or like just like an attack sound that Japanese characters sometimes make.
I have no clue what he was trying to say there. It just sounded like a weird, nonsensical series of grunts.
But apparently, what he was given direction to do was to say shift rock yeah, but these Sonic team members who were overseeing the recording wanted him to make the F as soft as possible so that it would sound like shit. And apparently I'm not the only one who thought it sounded like that, because Scott's been getting questions from Sonic fans for years about that, and now we finally have an answer. So they went over a lot in this panel. Like it was like it ran for over 40 minutes. Ryan Drummond probably said a lot of the most interesting stuff to me, which is like why I highlighted a lot of it in the article. Like apparently he got his job as Sonic through working with an edutainment software company like Span Partnership, where he was playing Sheldon the Turtle in the game in the math game The Three Decoders.
Kind of how Charles Martinet got Mario was educational software, but is playing Mario.
Yeah.
But at least he was actually playing. At least he was actually playing Mario in that. And this one was playing a smart.
Sheldon the Turtle is basically Sonic. Let's be real here.
But like the owner of the studio, Rick Bowman, got a new casting director and eventual Ruse voice actress Lanny Minnelli, who knew Keith Palmer over at Sega, and things happened, and Ryan Drummond got invited to the audition and got the role. And let me just tell you, just listening to him at the panel, he still got it. And if you're ever wondering why the voice acting sounds so stiff in Sonic Adventure, it is because they were just given a list of lines to say with no context and very little direction. And let's see, is there anything else here? Oh yeah, So I do recommend that you just go look at this article. But one other thing is that apparently in 1999, right after the release of Sonic Underground, Sega's already talking about doing another Sonic cartoon, and they told Ryan Drummond about this. And his thinking was that if Sonic Adventure did well, that the Sonic cartoon would be made and he would be the one doing the voice. Um, and so he was excited about that, and the game came out and it did well, and so he was thinking, okay, this means the cartoon's happening. 2 to 3 weeks later, he calls them. He tells them, no, we're not, and he's told no, they're not making a cartoon. I'm not sure where he heard that at this point, and he's told that if they were going to do a cartoon, it would have been to promote Sonic Adventure, not in reaction to it doing well, because cartoons are meant to sell products.
Which is kind of ironic because Sonic has long since and continues to be a transmedia property. Like it's
Yeah.
not this is fundamentally silly because, or I would say a short-sighted way of looking at it, because it's not that Sonic is meant to, like, the cartoons might exist to sell a game, but what you actually want to sell is the concept of Sonic. You want people to engage continuously in the brand with the brand in various ways. It's like,
And I think that's definitely a mindset that you see now, but that was definitely not a mindset you would see back in the back in the 90s.
I would trust definitely not, but I would very especially trust that I don't think Sega of America in the 90s would be thinking that far ahead.
But regardless, they did just have Sonic Underground, and the Sonic OVA got a localization.
Yeah, what game did Sonic Underground sell? Answer me that.
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing just now.
We sold so many of these tiny Tiger Electronic LCDs.
But anyway, there's more. No one apparently knows what happened to the first Knuckles voice actor from Sonic Adventure, but for that, just head over to the article and read my highlights and watch the video.
Okay, what's up with SATAM? Was that made to sell games?
Yeah, I would assume so. So we've been getting all these cool info dumps for Sonic SATAM for a couple of years now, where these people have just been digging up old documents and stuff and scanning them and releasing them online. And this latest one is probably the most interesting one yet, because it basically reveals that Sega sued DiC. Or was going to sue DiC in the 90s. And DiC apparently got into a lot of trouble with them for a breach of contract.
But on the other hand of it, it also sounds like their contract was very one-sided.
Oh, yes. Although, as far as I know, that is something that would be quite common back then.
Yeah, I believe it.
And honestly, it was probably even more common now.
It would certainly tell you that, the only way that this makes sense from a business perspective is if Sega paid them quite a lot in order to own everything.
Yeah. But, but basically, Sega had a couple of informal agreements with DiC, a 1991 agreement that expired, and a 1992 agreement that became the basis of their entire deal. They were eventually supposed to work something out more formally, but that just never happened. And so the deal that ended up happening is that Sega just owns everything. They own the cells, they own the characters, they own the shows. According to this document that came out, Sega could put these cartoons in their games if they wanted to, without royalties.
That seems weird because DiC did these cartoons went to other production companies, and I think you can find them in pretty much every free streaming programs and on YouTube and everything.
You
So it doesn't seem like they have that strong of an ownership.
you
I
can,
mean,
well,
my assumption.
keep in mind, TMS is also owned by Sega, and they put Sonic X all over the place.
Yeah, like
True.
all Sega would really want out of this is just their portion of the money.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was that Deke apparently Deke did two things. First off, they failed to uh, give Sega like an accounting of their revenues and their expenditures for the cartoons. So it sounds like they weren't especially transparent with Sega. And in addition to that, they were also selling cells of Sonic SATAM, which really pissed Sega off because they mentioned these cells numerous times, and they apparently spent money trying to get the cells back after they were sold. And this whole document is just about Sega laying out their entire lawsuit with Deke and saying that they owe us for damages and we're terminating the contract, and we are demanding that they cease production on the network series immediately. And so we are also fairly certain that this is how Sonic SATAM was canceled now. Now, there were rumors back in the day, apparently, that Sonic SATAM was canceled because Deke sold cells that they didn't own. But Ben Hurst dismissed it at the time. He said that no, the show was canceled because of low ratings and because of a change of leadership at ABC. Although it seems like Ben Hurst, who was like a writer and one of the main creative forces behind the show, was mistaken there because this lays out pretty clearly that like Sega was pissed and Sega wanted the show to stop production.
You gotta ask yourself, who's the real Deke in this situation?
Well, like
I mean, Deke exists.
Probably.
Deke exists to make things very, very cheap, and also in the case of Sonic Underground, I believe includes songs so that they get extra royalties. So
I guess I've got to imagine that Deke was not running a very tight ship at the time. Like
probably not.
I would imagine that they probably didn't know that they weren't supposed to sell the cells because they probably always sell the cells.
I mean, heck, I own a. Well, the timeline's interesting here because I always assumed, just based on the way that what's it called when you have 100 episodes and you can send out to other
syndication.
I always assumed because of the nature of the syndication that Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog went on a lot longer than SATAM, but it doesn't seem like that's actually the case. It seems like
that is not what happened.
Well, no, because it's a weekday. It was a weekday show, so it's ordered 65 episodes.
Adventures when you have a show being made for syndication, the entire 65 episode order is made at once, and then it's aired weekly like a single season.
And I understand that, but it's kind of weird to think about. Like, hey, it lasted so much longer because of that exact syndication. There just wasn't another amount ordered after that, but there were just so many to work from once that was put out. But even then, like, SATAM lasted until 1994, but the original run of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog ended in 1993, as I understand it, if that's correct.
Yeah, when syndicated shows will air like daily, essentially, instead of weekly, and so they burn through those episodes really quickly, and then it's just they get rerun continuously for years.
Yeah,
that is like how shows like Darkwing Duck also worked.
But but it's kind of funny. Like the weird part about all of it is that despite all of this conflict, and obviously, like, hey, it's likely that they weren't just selling cells of SATAM, because I own an Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cell. So,
well, I would imagine.
me
Well, I
too.
would imagine that Sega may have once this was all
liquidated at
sorted
some
out, Sega
point.
may have approved the sale of cells.
It wouldn't
Like
surprise
the
me
issue
around
here
the
is that
time that, like, they were starting
they
to
didn't.
get out of the console market if they wanted to liquidate some assets.
Yeah, like the issue here was that Sega didn't
It was outside the
approve the
agreement.
sales. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, now this was a draft. Now this was a draft. Uh, a draft.
Oh,
God
legal
darn it.
form, a legal claim.
A draft complaint, which
Yes.
is how you start a lawsuit.
Yes.
And so we don't know what happened with the lawsuit. We don't know if they sold out of court, or any of the results. So, like, there is still a bit of an incomplete picture here. But this does still tell us a lot about Sonic SATAM's production that we didn't know before. And more importantly, it does reaffirm what Ian Flynn and others have been saying for years, that Sega does own the Freedom Fighters and Scratch and Grounder and all of those characters from these shows. They just don't have any interest in using them.
It doesn't fit in with their current vision of what they want the franchise to be. As much
Right.
as you are an old school fan who's like, I remember everything and I love all of these old things and Sega should do more with it. Sega's not trying to appeal to you right now. They already have you as a
Sega
fan.
is wrong, and I hope they change someday.
You are wrong. Right now, we're in firm Knuckles is, no, it is the children who are wrong territory.
They are wrong, except they aren't children. They're like adult men. They're
No,
like
you're
adult
the
people in Japan.
No, what? What are you talking about?
I'm saying Sega's wrong, not the children. And
Sega's trying to
Sega's
appeal to the
adult.
children. The children don't care
Yeah,
about
and
your
Sega is
broken ass
wrong.
90s cartoon.
Anyway, but just give you an idea of the figures that we're talking about. Like, in the letter, they're talking about this suit having an estimated cost of $475,781,000, but could be as high as 1.2 million. So, like, we are talking some pretty decently big numbers here.
So keep that in mind, and then remember, they went back to ask them for another series.
They didn't go back to ask for one. They also made the Christmas Blast with Zeke.
Sure did.
So I can only assume that they settled it somehow, and whatever this wasn't enough for them to completely kill their partnership. Just maybe kill a show.
Look, can we above? I understand what all of the fans
would have gotten a little more pissed off at them to the point where we would have never had Sonic Underground.
I understand all of the things that people want out of a revival of SATAM or the characters or Sally or whatever. But let us appreciate the real loss here and understand that Sega really needs to bring back the two characters that actually matter, Wes Weasley and Professor Von Schlemmer. Those are the characters that the series needs.
Like, I'm actually going to seriously agree with you there. Like, they would be fun additions. One's a con man, and one's like a goofy scientist who isn't evil. I think they could fit in pretty well.
Sure.
Hell, we had Professor Von Schlemmer in the Archie reboot.
Yeah,
he was Silver's buddy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving on to the Sonic 3 news. We have, of course, been following the box office news for Sonic 3 these past few weeks. It has now surpassed $385 million, and the whole franchise has surpassed $1 billion globally in Sonic 2, and Sonic 3 has also surpassed Sonic 2 domestically. So yeah, like it is continuing to do well. It sold tickets faster than Sonic 2 did. I expect that unless its numbers just completely crash, that it's probably going to be surpassing Sonic 2 in the next week or two globally.
It wouldn't be
Um,
surprising.
so it really does
And
seem
it
like
looks like
Paramount.
it's the number two biggest video game blockbuster of all time behind Super Mario
Yes.
Brothers
For
It's
scale,
number
hey,
two in the U.S. It's not number two in the U.S.
Hey,
in the
Sonic
U.S. Okay.
fans, let us never forget the scale that these two franchises are working at. Right now, worldwide estimated box office for the Super Mario Brothers movie is 1.36 billion.
Oh yeah, like when those numbers came in, I was all like, "Yeah, Sonic 3 is never touching that," because I was confident Sonic 3 was going to do well. I never thought it was going to do that well. Like that is just like cultural phenomenon numbers.
Oh, they sure are, but you know, I interact with a lot of Sonic fans who think it's the hottest thing ever and and is making all of the money. Like what else could stand up to the money that Sonic is, and like with the reminder that like yeah, a success for a Sonic game is 3 million copies sold. That's a
But yeah,
success for them.
so Sonic 3 is the most successful it is the second most successful video game movie in the US now, but it's still got a ways to go internationally, where I think like World of Warcraft like did 600 million or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real, like the Sonic
Ultimately,
movie is going to be big in regions where Sonic himself was big, which is like
yeah, like Sonic's big issue is that he does not do well in Asian regions. He crashed in Japan. He crashed in China. He didn't do well in South Korea. Like all those regions, which can be pretty big for movies, and are why World of Warcraft did so well. You know, Sonic just does not have a foothold there.
yeah, and a lot of that just stems from the way that he was not pushed to the degree he was in the US like back in his establishing years.
I mean, like he was pushed in Japan. The problem was that the Sega Genesis flopped
I mean, that's
in
kind of like
Japan.
I mean both halves of that. Yeah, like hey, Western markets were the bigger thing for the Genesis slash Mega Drive than it was domestically.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. Like it is nice that Paramount has a winner. Like Sonic 3 seems to be one of the best things they have going right now. The Sonic franchise. I am wondering if like we're starting to look at its box office ceiling though. Like it looks like it's definitely going to surpass 400 million, but is it going to get to like 500? And I'm doubting that.
That would be
Not
yeah.
not without like more success in like the Asian markets.
I I'm just wondering if like okay, have they have they popped off the biggest thing that they could, because there is so much nostalgia and reverence for both the character of Shadow and Sonic Adventure 2 specifically that it's like I don't know if anything that they go with next could stand up to what this one would do.
If I'm going to be honest, I don't
Yeah, I
think
gotta agree.
if I'm going to be honest, I don't think stuff like Shadow is necessarily vital to the success of these movies. I don't think that's I don't think that's going to determine whether or not a Sonic movie pops off, because let's be honest, like Shadow, Knuckles, they did not have a huge amount of cultural relevance
Oh,
before they were in these
I
movies.
hard disagree on that. Like now when I say pop off, I mean to
Uh,
the degree that this movie saw success. I struggle to see a Sonic 4 doing as well as this one.
Yeah, like I could see Sonic 4 Sonic 3 kind of representing the what's the term, Zenith
Yeah.
Of the franchise, only because like there's a reason why film trilogies are a thing. That's because the longer a movie franchise goes on, the less successful it will sometimes be. Um, I do think that sometimes we do have movie franchises that are able to escape that cycle. I don't know if Sonic is going to be one of them. We'll have to see.
Now, to be clear, that is not me saying that like, oh, it's doomed or something like that. But because generally speaking, if we're looking at what these movies are and what they do and what they return, even if their returns weren't quite as crazy, these are still cheaper movies to make than a lot of other contemporary films. Like when you're looking at scale, I was watching something. I was watching the movie. I apologize, I forget his name, but uh what's the Second Wind? Second Wind has like a movie commentary series, a movie essayist series. Um, and one of the recent things that they pointed out was like specifically in regard to Mufasa. Mufasa was an expensive ass movie, so for that not to
Like
make it,
250 million, I think.
yeah. So honestly, it had to achieve a lot more to even break even. But Sony, in all of their heavy air quotes sarcastic wisdom
Oh
in
God!
their various Marvel movies, they made a profit on Morbius because it was so cheap to make.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously.
So, like, if it's purely a numbers game, as it probably is with Paramount, Paramount's not really breaking the bank on any of their projects that I know of, then they reasonably could still have those diminishing returns without issue. If
This
they
one,
do.
this was their most expensive one yet, something like $120 million. And honestly, given that amount of money, they managed to include a lot of CG characters in this. I think
Oh,
they
sure.
found the right balance when it comes to that.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't think the budget on these necessarily need to get all that bigger for maybe a
No, hey,
somewhat more ambitious movie.
they're what, like 3 times their money back so far?
Yeah, I think it's getting there anyway. Yeah.
That's what you want out of like a movie investment like that. That's success.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, if it starts to go south on the live action, they can always do Smurfs and go into animated.
Didn't the animated Smurfs do really, really poorly though?
Oh yeah, that crashed and burned.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, never
Although
mind.
Transformers One apparently did well enough that it's looking to get in a sequel, and that didn't
Oh,
do especially well
Oh,
either.
thank God, because
good
that
for
was
them.
actually a really, really good movie that had a terrible, terrible, terrible trailer promotion.
Yeah.
Good
Those,
for
ter-
them.
those,
Like
yeah, the trailers were just awful.
companies like Paramount are figuring out how to do pretty good animated movies at a pretty affordable price. Like I think Transformers movie had a lower budget than Sonic. Like I think it was like
Oh.
$85 million or something.
Oh. I mean,
Chris Hemsworth was the biggest name in that, and outside of that, it wasn't like major stars.
Oh, there was Scarlett Johansson. I don't know where she sits in relation to him.
so then I guess it's all roses for the Sonic movie series, right? Like nothing could possibly make us upset about these going forward, right? It's time for me to get back in the saddle and start watching another one of those in
Yes, yes,
2027
yes,
or
yes, you
something.
are. So, yeah, Jim Carrey has, unlike last time, has just come out and said, "Hey, he's open to do another one." Which, yay, I
Okay,
guess.
guys, call me for Sonic 5.
Like, you know, I don't know. I keep hoping. Like, on one hand, I know the moment he exits this franchise, it's gonna bomb and with critics and at the box office. Like that's just how it's gonna work. It's gonna be my favorite movie because he's not in it, and it's gonna be a disaster.
I don't know. I don't
But
know if it's
like,
going to
Too
be
many
all
people
that,
love
but
classic Carrey.
But like, I don't know. Like he said, like Robotnik dies in this pretty definitively.
Oh,
Like
wait,
the satellite.
hey, did you just want to
Death
say
speech
that?
and everything.
Yes, I did just want to say that the movie's been out. The movie's been out for almost a month now.
Okay, well, if you need
We had a
someone to
whole
blame him. It was not me.
we had a whole a podcast discussing it. Like it's time. It's
Okay.
leaked online.
Is there
I can
any
watch the whole thing on Twitter if I wanted to. Anyway, but yeah, so Jim Carrey, the Robotnik, pretty definitively dies in this, but like I suppose they could probably bring him back as Eggman Nega, like
or
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 I can see
shadow
that working.
they could just say shadow teleported him back or something.
look, there's any matter.
I
Look,
guess.
look, the writing in these are not great. They can find any matter of, hey, we invented a reason for him not. Hey, he didn't die. He went to another dimension and then he had to get back, or some nonsense like that. Or he comes
You
back.
realize you just gave an Archie plot, right?
Yeah, he comes back as a robot version of himself from another dimension.
Yeah, that was the second time that happened. The first time he just got sent sent to another dimension, then got sent back.
Hey, guys, hey, all pieces of culture, don't necessarily kill off your main villain if there's any chance that you might need them back. The
Like,
Marvel Universe has plenty of villains that you can kill off and still have a big roster. The Sonic series does not.
although,
Yeah, pretty
like,
much.
again, like he got vaporized, by chaos energy in space. And he had this whole big goodbye with Agent Stone and everything. Like, it just feels so final. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
they can just. I guess they can bring him back as Eggman Nick if they really need to.
Or they could be using the time stones and you see Jim Carrey with the CGI makeup as young Eggman or something for young Robotnik.
Yeah,
Oh
they
my
can.
god! You know what they could do? They could like have multiple. They could like have multiple Robotniks. They could like have a kid one and a baby one. That could be just like
Ooh,
Sonic Prime,
ooh, yes, yes,
except
please.
live action.
Sure.
It's not
Oh
possible.
god! Oh, we'll have a baby that's CGI to act like Jim Carrey that just like has this robotic like what's the thing that they sit in?
Uh,
Uh,
I don't know, a eggcraft
robotic
robot
stool.
egg thing. I don't know. It's an egg. What do you want?
But yeah, like now just because he wants to come back doesn't mean they are going to invite him back. But I expect that they will invite him back.
It would not surprise me, given the degree to which he is a name that they can get, and that he is. I don't know. I like he. Do you think he's still? Do you think that Carrey cost more than I bet he cost more than Elba. Do you think he cost more than oh geez, Shadow's
He
voice
cost the
actor? Why
most.
can't I remember it?
Keanu
He,
Reeves?
co- I
Keanu
think
Reeves,
he
thank
cost.
you.
I think he costs more than all the actors because voice actors get crap pay compared to
He
live
probably costs
action
more than
actors.
Sonic CGI.
Oh,
Like I think there was like a breakdown and all of them. Like I think Idris Elba got the most in Sonic 2 out of all the voice actors, but he still got less than Jim Carrey. I think.
that probably makes sense. Yeah.
Um. So I don't know. Do y'all have any other thoughts on Jim Carrey coming back to Sonic 4?
I don't want to watch Jim Carrey, but also the prospect of seeing another Sonic movie isn't particularly appealing to me, so it's kind of all academic. I'm glad y'all like this series.
I will say that
So,
he was at least better in this than he was in the second one. I enjoyed him much more in this one than that one.
so funny though. You look at I saw a little bit of Sonic 1 Robotnik Jim Carrey on TV the other day, and you compare how he was acting then to how he's this, madman goofball guy now, and it's like almost like a completely different character.
Hmm. I just want a Sonic movie that is fully animated in the vein of Transformers 1. Just give me that, Paramount. Do it.
It will fail miserably.
Hit while the iron is hot, not after the iron has already been slammed into the bottom of the ocean by Michael Bay.
I want to see whatever this Zelda movie is going to be, because it's going to be trash. Sony is so bad at what they do with film.
I don't know. Like, you know what? The Mario movie was okay. I have said it's not as good as the Sonic movies, which it's definitely not as good as Sonic 3.
Oh, I don't like the Sonic. I don't even like the
Sonic
movies, and I think the Mario movie is not as good as the Sonic movies.
But like, I would say that compared to a lot of other video game movies, the Mario movie is competent. Like,
it's not trash, but it's also not a story.
And so we already discussed that pretty in depth before. We don't need to redo it, but like at the very least, I think we could probably get a serviceable Zelda movie.
I don't think we're gonna get a serviceable Zelda movie from any of the people involved. I got the exact Illumination movie that I was expecting out of them, because I know what Illumination produces, and they sure did produce an Illumination movie. They just produced a very nice looking one. From Sony, unfortunately, I also know what to expect, and it's worse than an Illumination movie.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta make a good movie.
Illumination makes very pleasant looking mediocrity.
In any case,
I was really hoping for DreamWorks for Zelda, man. DreamWorks, I could see doing something good with.
And yeah, a DreamWorks Nintendo movie would be pretty cool.
It'd still be within a stone's throw of Universal if they did that.
Like, you know, DreamWorks is inconsistent, but they are at least capable of making classics.
They can write a dang story, which is more than we got from Mario.
Although I never have seen Turbo. Don't know if that has a story. So, moving on to our final news item for the night. One of the animators behind the Sonic 3 end credits did a whole video about how they made those credits, and I find that to be very fascinating, because I remember, like, when the music video came out with these models, you know, like we were all saying, hey, you know, that looks like Sonic the Fighters models, and it turns out these were Sonic the Fighters models. They ripped them from that game. These were models ripped from that game.
No.
That were then modified by this guy, Suit and Tie 22, to be more in line with the movie characters, and then they were like I guess animated for the credits, and like that was just so freaking cool to me. So basically what happened was, like, you know, they took the models for Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and they like made Sonic's arms blue. They changed their proportions slightly. They added the colored pupils. They changed some other things like Tails' tail shape and Knuckles' height and dreadlocks. But then for Shadow, he was not built from the ground up, because they had the Sonic model, and they just modified the Sonic model to look like Shadow, which technically means that this is our one instance of classic Shadow in official Sonic media.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
This has classic This has classic Sonic's proportions, but it's Shadow. So it's classic Shadow.
No, it's not. It's not classic Shadow.
This guy was really happy about that, and he was right to be, because he is right, and I'll not let you deny him.
It's not classic Shadow. It's not. It is modern Sonic and modern Sonic characters basically modded into vaguely classic style. Like it's whenever a fan makes a fan game that's Genesis style, but it's going to be like, I put the modern. He has the eye color now, and the things on his shoes. He's the modern styled Sonic, but it's the classic style. No, it's not. It's not. It's not classic Shadow. There is no classic Shadow.
Yes, this is classic Shadow.
This is a stylized Shadow.
It's Shadow with classic Sonic proportions. That's classic Shadow.
Honestly, it's not even classic Shadow, because it's classic Sonic wearing the skin of Shadow.
This is where I thought you were going.
That's also true. Both paths
well, there
are
we
accurate.
go. You can say it's classic Sonic wearing classic Shadow's skin after
It's classic
he told
Sonic
him.
wearing some sort of Shadow onesie in proportion with his design, as we all want and believe.
I assume colored those fake colored eyes and also some black face makeup.
Oh no, we don't talk about blackface
Sonic
Sonic.
in his shadow face. Say it's just Sonic in a shadow skin.
But anyway, so he didn't talk too much about Super Sonic and Super Shadow, but I'm assuming they were made the same way. You know, just modified classic Sonic model.
Super Sonic is in Sonic the Fighters.
Yeah, but that was not one of the 3 models that he was provided. So
Okay.
I'm assuming he had to make that from scratch.
I mean, it's very easy to
not
find
from
those
scratch.
models. I can go find them right now.
But also, for Eggman, he did briefly consider making like it look like classic Eggman, but he was told can't be too fat, has to have the SA2 outfit, and so they were made and so both Ivo and Gerald were made from scratch, along with Shadow's motorcycle and the and Asian Stone and the crab, and so like yeah, so that's just pretty cool for me that they actually went and put Sonic the Fighters models in a Sonic movie. He did try to like put in some references, but there either wasn't a lot of room or that he was told to do something else. Like he wanted to like reference the SA2 Super Sonic and Shadow transformation, but he had to do a dab up instead. And finally, apparently, the people who were behind this production really liked it when they made characters dance.
Okay.
Always, and we almost got Sonic line dancing in the music video, which he also worked in.
Look, if there's anything I know about people who make family movies or something, it is, hey, what if the ending is some sort of dance number? Like if we want to talk about DreamWorks, dear God.
Oh God, that was their mantra for a long time.
God, yeah, and every
Even if
single
it was
movie with a dance
even if it was
party.
one of their good ones, you know, they'd still slap a dance
I
number
mean,
at the end.
Shrek was the one that started that. Like that started with the good ones. So yeah,
Oh, we got our dance in the middle of the movie instead with the 2 Robotniks.
and he did try to put a Virtual Fighter arcade cabinet and a Dreamcast in the background of one scene, but he was told no, which makes me sad. Anyway, I got a whole article about this on Sonic Stadium, and he also did a whole like 27-minute video, which I embedded in that article, which you can freely watch if you want to know more. Anyone else got anything else to say on this?
We're over 2 hours.
Yeah, we're approaching the we're approaching 10:24 right now. So I do think now it is time to wrap things up.
It sure is.
Some holidays to eat.
So stay tuned for Sonic Stadium for more articles from me. I've still got a couple of things I want to do over the next few weeks. GX, you got anything to plug?
My streams are on hiatus, but I recently did something with Nintendo World Report where, as a consequence of getting 4th place in a Mario Party game, I was assigned a punishment game, and that punishment game was Super Monkey Ball Adventure, which I was required to play an hour of, and that
Very
game
sad I missed that part.
That game is bad but fascinating, and I might play more of it. I also assigned the person who assigned that to me the Grinch for Game Boy Color, and she had a much less fun time than I did.
Shigs, got anything to plug?
I think currently, I do have a question for GX. Now that one person leaked Sonic 3 on Twitter for a short time, did you ever get a chance to watch the movie?
Oh, Wouldn't that be the true way to watch this movie is through a leaked version on Twitter? But no, I have not.
There is technically another one that's still up that I can send you.
I
Will you
value the hustle, but I don't think that's how I'm gonna watch the movie.
So will you ever watch it if it goes to streaming in a way where you can watch it freely? And it
I
just happens to be on.
I I mean, there are plenty of ways that I could watch it freely, but I also want to have to watch it, and I'm not at that point yet. OG Modern Sonic, hey,
Anyway.
go watch the Professor Layton movie. That's actually legitimately real fun.
In any case, that will be all for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in. This will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow. So hey, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, hi, thank you. Leave a comment and give us a thumbs up or whatever. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, unless there's just nothing to talk about between now and then.
When have we ever been that lucky?
Well, like I don't know, I wasn't sure if tonight was going to work, but we made it as a shorter show. So
Shorter show.
yeah, it's 2 hours. So we see you later.
Peace, y'all.
See you later.
SonicStadium.org. I should have said that at some point. Go check it out. Sonic's
Yes.
one of the
Yes.
longest Sonic fan community. Something. Peace.
We also got a Discord.
And a Discord.